Welcome to the Voiceover Sermon with Terry Daniel, the podcast for voiceover artists with tons of handy tips, tricks, and useful information to help you run your voiceover business better. And now, here's your host, Terry Daniel.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Terry Daniel, voice actor, coach, demo producer from Minneapolis. Winner, Rob, when I was 10 years old, of the best insect collection. Those poor insects. You remember that? How inhumane. You would pin the butterflies to the styrofoam board.
Impaling them on the styrofoam.
Oh, my God. Awful. Just awful.
Vlad the Impaler, ladies and gentlemen.
I still feel guilty about it this many years later.
My wife is a biologist, so I'm quite familiar with that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It was like, I remember, science class in, I think it was like 7th or 8th grade where we dissected frogs.
I did the frog. I did an earthworm. Yeah, I did all that. It was kind of cool.
I'm way too much of an animal freak now. I wouldn't do it. I mean, back then you were just kind of too young and naive to care, but now I probably wouldn't do it. I wouldn't even hurt a June bug.
Somehow having the prepared frogs made it easier. like the frog was already dead, but I remember watching like a Disney training video or training film on like how to do a frog dissection, and they showed like how to kill the frog humanely. And it's like basically taking a needle down its spine and then killing it that way. And it was like, oh my God.
Did you provide any voiceover for any of those instructional films back then?
No. I always faked that I was doing them, but I never did any voiceovers for them.
It always, I don't know who was doing them, but it always sounded like, especially when they were showing you the movie in science class, that would always be like first or second hour, so you knew you were going to get a quick nap in. You walked into the room, you saw the movie projector, and you were ecstatic about it.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh my God, this is going to be great. And it was always just like that same, I don't know who the VO person, but it was always that same, the moose will travel 45 miles into the Montana.
You're kind of dating yourself. I totally remember the film reels with the music. It was always the violins. You could tell, because they would never be able to hold the note. It would always be, as the film was jumping the sprockets.
Well, the worst part is when the projector would go down. The teacher would then have to turn the lights on, and then they would bust everybody who was sleeping.
I don't know. I always liked science. I always thought science was cool.
Oh, me
too. I had
too.
fun in science class.
Yeah, it was science, speech, and theater that really saved me in high school.
Yeah.
Because without any, or choir too, I guess, choir.
That kept you from getting beat up by the bullies, was being in stage and choir?
It kept me busy enough to, so I wasn't getting thrown out. But I probably did. I went to high school at Anoka Senior High, and I still, to this date, I'm pretty sure I have the record for most hours of detention accumulated.
Oh, my God.
Which at one point was 35 hours.
Wow.
So it was
congratulations.
Oh, yeah, but I think I went in and helped the janitors clean the cafeteria floor, and the assistant principal, waved it all. So God bless him. Boy,
wow.
If you're really interested in getting into voiceovers, I bet you're taking a lot of nuggets away from this particular episode.
And then when I was 17...
I'm starting to wonder if this is even a voiceover podcast today.
Not anymore.
I suppose we should get down to some VO topics.
Yes, that'd be good.
Well, we haven't really touched on this very much, but I wanted to talk about voiceover websites for just a moment, because I look online and I see some fabulous websites done very, very well, but some of them are just way too busy. And here's the deal with voiceover websites. When a client is doing a search for the right voice actor for their project, the last thing they want to feel like is they've been dropped from a helicopter in the middle of nowhere and they land in the jungle and there's just too much going on.
Yeah.
Your voiceover website should be a user-friendly, one-page site where the client can find the demos above the fold. They know how to get a hold of you. And Rob, there's too many websites out there that have not only too many pages, but it almost feels egotistically driven.
It's too many bells and whistles. They've got the animated, list of logos of different corporations that they've worked for flashing by on the thing, and they've got an animated video background of them walking and talking on a microphone. You said above the fold. First of all, anybody that's putting together a website should know what above the fold means, and you should make it as easy as possible for the voice seeker, whoever it is. If it's a producer that you're trying to get or a casting director you're trying to land, whoever it is, make it as easy for them as possible so that they don't have to search around and try and find the button to hit play on your demos. Make your demo within one click, within 5 seconds of being on your website, be able to see where your demo is and play it.
And my apologies for yelling, oh shit. I actually thought we were not recording the podcast. So if you heard me in the background going, oh shit, that's what that was all about.
I thought you were just adding commentary to
oh my God, I did not want to start that over. But you know what? You make some excellent points there, because VO buyers these days, a lot of them have urgent projects and they're in a hurry. And if it takes them 5 minutes to find your demos on the website, guess what? They're going to go look for somebody else.
Yeah. If it takes me more than 5 seconds to find your demo and hear it, I'm moving on. It's that simple. I don't have time to admire the composition and the color coordination of your website and all the bells and whistles that you have. Make your demo front and center, because that's you're selling your voice. So make your voice the star of your webpage. Don't add all this other stuff to it that just makes it complicated.
Yeah, and you need a form where the client can fill out, where they can mention what kind of project that they're looking for, just so you can get a little information from the client. But definitely put your phone number in there too. And I've heard people say, well, I'm not putting my phone number on my website. Well, so you don't want a potential VO buyer to call you? I realize you don't want to get spam, but this is just part of the deal.
Have a business number. And, it's not
Google phone. You could do Google phone.
Have a Google phone number and use that number. So it's not your home phone number or whatever it is. Have it and set it up as a different ringtone so that when it rings, that's a potential client that's calling me. Or, hey, that's the Nigerian prince telling me I just won $1 million, or, whatever. But have a separate number so you know what, and that makes you look more like a business.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, how do you feel about, sometimes the industry is divided a little bit on headshots. How do you feel about putting a headshot on a website?
It's funny. I've heard the argument on both sides. Some people say, no, you don't want to ruin whatever your voice sounds like to that person. And at the same time, I don't know. I personally, I have a headshot on my website just because I had a friend of mine take some really good photos of me, and I'm like, screw it, I'm going to use them. So, as long as it's smiling and friendly and shows you as you, I think it's fine. I don't think it really matters.
Your headshots are fabulous. You look like a 60s rocker living in Laurel Canyon in Hollywood Hills.
That's my buddy Jordan. My buddy Jordan Ramsey. Jordan Ramsey took those photos. It's amazing. And it was literally just me in an unused bedroom in his house, like an unfinished bedroom, and concrete floors. He was ripping the walls out. And it was literally just one light, but he knows how to take a good shot. Jordan Ramsey is amazing. He's a really good guy.
Well, that's fantastic. And, I like personalizing a website with a headshot, but I don't think it needs to take up the entire website, because I've seen people where, okay, wait a minute. I can't find this guy's demos, and I have no idea how to get a hold of this guy.
But I sure know what he looks like.
Oh, his enormous headshot sure looks good. And that's all you see. I'm like, wait a minute now. This is, and make sure the colors are, just like, we always talk about in many episodes how important, how crucial it is to have your demo professionally produced. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the same thing with websites. You really need to have somebody. Plus, if I'm a new voice actor, I don't want to mess around with the website. I want to work on my craft.
Yeah, you can put together something on your own that's passable, but the problem is that people then start adding all the bells and whistles and animated this and special that, and you don't need it. You don't need to spend a whole lot of money to have a professional put together a website for you that then you can maintain. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Let them create something and then you just refresh it from time to time. That's the best way to do it.
And this is very important. If you've got more than one business, don't put them all on one website. Like if you're a dog groomer, there's no reason to put that you're a voice actor and then page 2 is your dog grooming business. And then page 3, you're a mechanic or something like that. You definitely want separate websites for all your businesses. Very important.
And I've heard it like as specialties too with voiceover. Like if you can have separate landing pages that all go to the same website. Like you have a landing page, say you specialize in, medical narration. You could have a medical narration landing page with a special, address that you give out to medical narration buyers that leads them straight to your medical narration demo. If I'm an automotive guy, I'm going to have an automotive landing page that plays my automotive demo front and center because nobody's going to want to hear my medical narration demo. So I can see having separate landing pages that still go to the same site. But yeah, I mean, that's the way to group your business together. But yeah, if you're a voice artist, I don't care if you're also a dog groomer, because that doesn't help me unless I have a dog that needs grooming. And then I'm not looking on voiceover pages for a dog groomer.
And keep your bio brief. I mean, nobody really, even if you have the most fascinating life story ever, nobody wants to hear it. So keep the information about yourself very brief. Because again, this particular potential VO buyer might be in a hurry and they don't want to have to, go through all this gibberish just to get to your demos and the opt-in form. And speaking of those forms, they're important, but also put your email address separately because they may not want to fill out the form. They might want to just click on your email and send you an email direct.
Yeah, some people hate the form because they think it goes to a secretary or a gatekeeper, then it never gets listened to or read. But give the option. Here's my phone number. Here's my Twitter profile. There's a million different ways to get a hold of me, and I always put that with the contact page. Here's all the options you have. If you want to text me, I'm available. Make it easy on the person to reach out to you. Don't want to make it difficult.
Always have in mind whether you have somebody working on your demo, your website, just pretend like everybody in the country has ADD.
And they do.
And they do. Everybody, like you and I, everybody in the creative business probably does have some form of ADD. But just try to keep that in mind that, with a website or a demo, brief, professional, just pretend like the person doesn't really have that much time.
Because they don't.
No, because they don't. All right, so some tidbits there on voiceover websites since we haven't really talked about it that much. But I do want to talk about a gem that's always been a gem for me, and I haven't really mentioned it in previous podcast episodes. It's marketing by way of social media. Now, I'm not going to go into all the platforms, but I do want to talk briefly today about LinkedIn. If it wasn't for LinkedIn, I wouldn't get, about 12 brand new clients every year because that's exactly the number of clients I get from that platform.
That's fantastic. See, it's one of those things that I've never used LinkedIn for marketing. I mean, LinkedIn is like, the Facebook for businesses, and I get it. And I try and connect with businesses all the time, and I'll friend people or I'll whatever they call it, friending or connecting with potential clients. And I may reach out to them in other ways, but I never use LinkedIn directly. So how do you use it? That sounds like a stupid question, but how do you use LinkedIn?
No, it's not. It's not a stupid question because a lot of us got away from it because we got sucked into Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all the other platforms out there, and we all kind of got away from LinkedIn for a couple of years. LinkedIn is actually kind of stood by their ground of being a business social media site. They haven't really made a ton of changes like a lot of the other social media platforms is. It does seem pretty business oriented, at least the stuff I see. It's probably, I know we all see different things in our news feed depending on what social media site we're on, but I basically I use it more of a place to put my VO tips and also just share a certain number of projects that I've done. I don't, Facebook's just me, whether I'm teeing off on something, ranting or cracking a joke or doing whatever. That's just me all by myself. But LinkedIn, I really do take it seriously as more of my kind of business platform. But I also engage in other people's posts and conversations. And what I love about LinkedIn, and here's the ticket, every time you make a comment on somebody's post, and it shows what you do for a living right next to your name. And that's almost like billboard marketing.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, yeah, knowing how to set up your LinkedIn profile is important, so that if somebody is interested in hiring you as a voice artist, and maybe you get popped up, or you're a friend or something like that, when they click on your profile, it should look like you're geared. Everything you've geared your site around is towards that career. So you look like a voiceover artist. Here's all the voiceover jobs I've done. Make your page look proper.
And think about every time you make a comment, it'll say Terry Daniel, voice actor, coach, demo producer. It'll say that next to my name like every time. Now, you don't want to comment and say, hey, if you need a voiceover, I can do it for $500. Don't be like a cheesy salesman in the comment thread. Just ask questions and be a part of the conversation. That is key.
It's not always about the sale, and it's not always about you. Find out more about them. Find out what their needs are. If this is a potential client, if this is somebody that you're going after, find out about them. Did they just produce something? Did they just put something out on YouTube? Like the YouTube, talk about it. Say, hey, that was really cool. If they've get engaged with them on social media. That's the way to get a potential client, to make a lead a client is to engage with them in an organic way. Yeah. Everybody's used to the hard sell. Hi, I'm a voiceover artist. Here's my demo. Hire me.
Yeah. Don't stay away from that stuff, especially in a conversation. And keep in mind, production directors and talent agents, they're pretty savvy in the way that they use social media, especially LinkedIn. So you'll have an opportunity to actually engage in a conversation. Maybe they're just sharing different, voice acting anecdotes over the years. And then you have a kind of a funny client story or something like that you can put in the comments section. And a month later, who knows? Maybe you're on their roster.
That's exactly how you do it. No one wants to work with a stranger. Everyone wants to work with a friend. And if you've made an online friend organically through, just shooting the breeze about whatever was posted, that person is more likely to want to use you than a complete total stranger that just sent them an email.
So get back to LinkedIn. That's the message here, because, again, we've all gotten distracted with so many other apps and platforms where we've kind of been maybe spending a little too much time on. But LinkedIn is still very much of a business platform. And start working on your profile and start working on, spending a little time, engaging with people in posts that were possibly started by a voiceover buyer.
Yeah, be thinking about your business, not necessarily posting pictures of, the dinner you had last night, but be thinking how you can use this for your business. And LinkedIn is definitely the way to go. I'm a fan. I'm on board.
Well, think about if some of you are, and we've all been guilty of this, by the way, if you're listening to this podcast episode right now and you're one of those voice talents that maybe spend a little too much time in voiceover groups on Facebook, kind of going back and forth and chatting with people, think about this. Your time is going to be so much better spent if you do that on LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? With this, like, quote unquote, billboard marketing, as I call it. And, engage in conversations there. Marketing to people who do what you do isn't going to go anywhere.
Right.
And that's all you're doing. And even my groups like VO Pros, you got people trying to market to other voice talents. That's not going to get you anywhere. Go on LinkedIn and find audiovisual directors from corporations, production directors, talent agents. There's a ton of e-learning companies. E-learning was hot before the pandemic hit.
Yeah, it's huge
and
now.
It's just red hot now. So please take that category seriously, because there's a lot of opportunity in e-learning. So check out LinkedIn and then just start having conversations with people who are posting, man. That's a dozen. They don't always come back for second projects, but a dozen brand new clients every year. Just from bullshitting with people on LinkedIn.
That's awesome. See, and the problem with most voiceover artists is that everybody wants to be the next Mark Hamill's Joker.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be the next, whoever, and so they're just focusing on, they want to be in character and they want to be in commercial and they want to be, all the high glitz and glamour jobs. But man, you can make a killing doing e-learning. You really can. But it's not as glamorous as being, such and such a character in a video game,
At medical stuff especially, because think about it. Who is ever going to send you a 30-second medical script? Very rare. We're talking 60 pages of information about a brand new pacemaker coming out. I've done medical narration for years and years, and it pays very, very well because the projects are always very lengthy.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the most exciting work.
No,
it's definitely not the most glamorous work, but man, who cares? It's paying my bills.
It really is. But you know what? You get used to it too, because what's interesting, sometimes I look at this as free tuition because you're also educating yourself because you get to read about all this stuff that you didn't know about before.
Oh, yeah.
And not only are you getting paid to do the voiceover, but you're actually getting a free education.
Yeah, you're a single subject expert on something, some random factoid in medicine. It's really fun when you can talk shop with a doctor and know exactly what they're talking about,
I know. I mean, I learned all I know about search engine optimization literally from doing a multitude of e-learning modules on that very subject.
That's awesome because that actually can help your business. Doing e-learning on SEO teaches you how to do SEO. That's awesome.
All right. So, Rob, where can people find us on Facebook?
I think it's facebook.com/groups/VOCamp.
It's Voiceover Camp.
Oh my God, I screwed it up.
You screwed it up. Now they're going to go elsewhere. You idiot. No. We would love to hear from you, and we don't have a Voiceover Sermons group just yet, but hell, there's about 200,000 other VO groups, so why not just add one more to the mix? Voiceover Camp, look us up on Facebook, ask to get into it. It's a really good forum if you're just getting started. We have many of our own students are in there. It's not all our students. A lot of people just kind of lurk and sit on the fence and just kind of see what's going on for quite a while. And that's fine too, but it is a good place to start.
It's a great resource to learn a lot about voiceover. You can learn a lot just by asking questions and getting the right answers from people. I really enjoy I've always enjoyed engaging with the people and answering questions and asking my own questions about stuff. It's a good way to learn.
And please help spread the good news about Voiceover Sermons podcast. You can tweet about it, Facebook, do a Facebook post about it, post it on LinkedIn. Share the love, man. Share the love. I dare you. No, we like feedback too. So I always put my website in at the bottom of the episode description, and you can always ask us questions, and we may just cover them on the next episode.
We're always looking for stuff to talk about, and Lord knows we got plenty of stuff to talk about.
Absolutely. My email, if you want to email me direct, is Terry, Terry, at universalvoicetalent.com. If you have questions about the business, we'd love to hear from you. And again,
Absolutely.
It's Voiceover Camp on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/Voiceover Camp. You can find it, or you can use the search box too. We always post the podcast episode too, because, Rob and I are in love with our voices.
I was like, where the hell are you going with that sentence?
No, yeah. Sometimes that's how I feel during our entire podcast is where the hell am I going?
I wouldn't say I'm in love with my voice. I like my voice. There's a lot of times where I don't like it.
I only wear these headphones when we do the podcast, and I can't stand hearing my own voice in the headphones. I find it to be quite the distraction, and I know that sounds kind of goofy, but when I record, I just use my monitors. I rarely use headphones. I think they're they're distracting while I'm recording. I don't like
it.
Plus, with my ADD, I've got the HD 280 Pros, the Sennheiser headphones, and it feels like a BMW is parked on my head. You know,
it's funny. I just got a set of 280
distracting.
Pros. I'm not a fan of them. I've had the old MDR 7506s forever.
Yeah.
The Sony 7506s. I've had done my whole career with those headphones and love them. I just bought a pair of 280 Pros and I don't like them.
They're too
Plus
heavy.
Plus it feels like a vice on my head.
Yeah, it feels like you've got a football helmet on.
Yeah,
it really
they're pretty
does.
heavy duty.
If you have an ADD issue like I do, these are not. I mean, these are perfect for the podcast that we record. But yeah, there are far better headphones that are a little lighter on the head.
Yeah, no, but I always record with headphones on. But you're right; it's easy to get in your head too much. You hear yourself too well.
I don't like it. I don't like hearing anything while I record. I do it all in post-production if I want to, take out any mouth noise or big giant breaths.
Yeah.
But I have the JBL LSR monitors.
Oh, yeah, those are great monitors.
I'm a huge Bose fan, but I have to say that these are fabulous.
Those are great. They're near field monitors, right?
Yep.
That's cool. Those are really good for that.
Yeah, and I've got my Apollo Twin set up. That's the preamp that powers the microphone, and I've got it set up so if I'm recording, it doesn't pick up anything that's coming out of the monitors. I don't know. I don't know how it doesn't, but I think I accidentally set it up correctly.
I don't think there's a gate on it, and you probably just set up your mic the right way.
Yeah. So I prefer it that way, and we kind of got into headphones, and that's perfectly fine. I don't think you need headphones and monitors, especially if you're just starting off. I think having probably headphones would be the preference first. But then, if you're like me and you get distracted with your own pipes inside your head, that can affect the read.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you hear yourself too well, you start thinking, oh my God, I sound really good. And then you start forgetting about the performance, and then it all just falls apart. I mean, it's important to hear, you can tell when you flubbed a line, or you can tell when there's a mouth click in your mouth and start again. You don't need to be that precise, microscopic level of listening to the sound. As long as I hear myself, I know I'm recording. That's fine.
Well, these they sound fantastic, but they remind me of the old headphones my dad used to wear at football games, where he's listening to the play-by-play. They're the AM transistor radio headphones.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of funny because the play-by-play was always delayed a little bit. So like somebody would score a touchdown, and then the play-by-play would talk about the touchdown literally like 30 seconds later, and it just, oh my God, it totally screwed him up. You're like, mentally it screwed him up. I'm like, Dad, take the headphones off and enjoy the game.
I remember those big honking headphones. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I like to collect the vintage stuff. I still have my original Walkman.
Oh my God!
The little orange headphones, the cassette player
with the orange foam pads.
Oh yeah, maybe I should use those for voiceover.
There you go.
Oh yeah, I still have that stuff. I've got them in a couple of crates, and total vintage junkie. I'm just kind of like my '80s albums, man. I'm never getting rid of those.
I've always wanted to collect antique microphones, but that's an expensive hobby. I can't afford that.
I think our buddy Doug Turkel does it, and that does sound like a very I mean, you could buy the replicas.
Yeah.
But that would be kind of cheating.
Well,
that's kind of like buying the mastered version of Pink Floyd The Wall. Nobody's going to think you're cool.
You've got, if you're going to collect microphones, you got you have it. You have the 55SH. You have the Elvis mic.
Yeah.
That tank of a microphone. And that's just a classic. When you think microphone, that's the thing that everybody pictures is that Shure 55SH. That's an amazing mic.
Oh, my God. Yeah, there's a lot of...
And then there's big, expensive ribbon mics, and it can be an expensive hobby. It can be an expensive hobby.
And just remember, we talk about this all the time in voiceover camp. Don't be too ultra focused on gear when you're first starting off in voice actor. You really, I mean, we went through this in another podcast episode. We don't have to ramble on and on about it here, but just remember to focus on the acting first. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to use your mic.
Yeah, get your skills up first. It doesn't matter how good the mic is.
All right. Well, we're coming up to a half hour. This has been fun, Rob, because remember, my sermons in the past would be me bitching about something for 2 minutes and then it was over.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Yeah, it'd be 3 minutes long. I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't really get anything out of that.
Terry's sermons or Terry's rants.
Yeah, but I sure like to listen to him rant. But it's nice that we finally have some content where people can find useful.
Yeah, and I think it's good teaching that we're doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And offering some good advice.
And you've been in this how many years now?
Way too many.
Are you going on 2 decades now?
Working for every company that I worked for, I did voiceover for. So technically, I've been in voiceover for 30 years.
Yeah, you and me both.
But yeah, it just I'm always learning. I'm still learning. You never perfect it.
31st year here. I've had other jobs in like radio, even sales. I do miss. I miss part of the on-air experience of radio back when these big giant companies didn't own everything, and you had the one small station. It was almost like a small. This was my first radio gig. It felt like a college station. It was owned by one very rich man.
Wow. And
it covered only half of the Twin Cities metropolitan area, but I was the board op for Imus in the morning. I had my own air shift in the afternoon. And I was also the station film critic.
Did DJs even play the music they want to play anymore? Or is it all just programmed by, the program director who says, play this? It's a program director that's in some other state.
Oh, yeah. These days it
programs
is.
For everything.
These days it is. Now, back when I worked, it was called Cafe 105. Cafe 105.7. Now, we had a program director that did program the music, but if you brought in music, which I always did, and he thought it was a really good fit for the format, he gave us creative liberty.
Wow.
Oh my God. And that was a thrill. And I was there
happen.
for about 3 years, which came to an end, of course, because some massive radio company bought it and then it was over.
Yeah.
But it was fun while it lasted.
Having that kind of a flexibility with the radio station just doesn't happen anymore.
Nope. Nope. Those days are over.
Everything.
That's why I couldn't be more thrilled to be not only teaching the art of voice acting, but actually doing voiceovers, which, by the way, Rob, that's what people love about us, is that we actually perform the craft that we teach. And you don't get that with other companies.
That's true. Not only am I, talking about voiceover, I'm actually a voiceover artist.
Yeah, so that's very helpful.
I'm also the client.
Yeah, that's very helpful when you work with people like that. But Rob, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
A pleasure.
And this has been Voiceover Sermons. You can catch it at voiceoversermons.com. Of course, you can look for us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. I'm sure there's other platforms that we're on.
Spreaker.
Yeah, Spreaker. Right? Yeah, the voiceoversermons.com goes directly to the Spreaker listening station. So if that's easier for you, great. But we're pretty much available, anywhere that you listen to podcasts. So, Rob, thank you very much. This was a blast.
I enjoyed it as always.
All right, man. Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to the Voiceover Sermon with Terry Daniel. See you next time for more useful tips and tricks to help make your voiceover business run better.